Hello children, in the previous videos we discussed static charges which are not moving. We discussed charges something like this. This charge was a point charge which is not moving, it was stationary, and with the study of this type of charges under electrostatic chapter. Now in this chapter, current electricity, we are going to discuss charges in motion. Now what causes a charge to move? Let us understand it. Current, electricity. Now this charge, for example, is stationary. Imagine a situation in which I am applying an electric field across this. If I apply an electric field, then this charge will experience a force and will start what? Moving. A positive charge will move in direction of electric field, and negative charge will move opposite to the electric field. Means we can apply a field and we can make the charges move. But there are many situations where charges are moving without any external electric field. For example, you take the case of a metal. Let us imagine there is a metal out here, a piece of metal. We know that metals have free electrons in them. These electrons are basically free from the positive nuclei and they are moving. All these are electrons which are moving. Metals have large number of free electrons which are in extremely high energy state and then the state of constant motion. But the problem is that this motion is agitated motion, and electrons, just like they require here also energy for moving, they require energy here also for moving. This energy comes from heat. So under thermal energy, electrons in metals start moving. But the problem is that these electrons under thermal energy, they move randomly. For example, an electron will move like this, maybe another electron will move like this electron will move like this, and this will move like this. We cannot predict the direction. One can go like this, the other can go like this. So overall, when I look at these electrons, this motion is like motion of a flock of chickens. There is no clear direction. So this static charge will move only when you apply an electric field. In case of metals, electrons will move because they are in agitated state due to thermal energy, and there will be motion. The interesting thing about this motion is like helter-skelter motion, and the net result of the motion of these electrons will be zero, because all these motions will tend to cancel out each other. These motions are something like, you can say, Brownian motion, no, taking place randomly. Now let us see another situation in which I have a piece of a metal. There is a piece of a metal, and like before we said, there are large number of free electrons. And imagine a situation, I import a positive charge here and the other end is negatively charged, and you very well know that this can be done with the help of a battery. So imagine that we are connecting a battery, we are connecting a key and completing the circuit. Now when I apply this battery, then these electrons which are moving helter-skelter out here, they have no clear direction to move. Now their motion gets what? Streamlined, as these electrons are being attracted by the positive plate of the battery and being repelled by the negative plate of the battery. We can also understand like this, that these electrons of the metals, they are being placed in an external electric field E, and under the influence of this field, as you know already, a negative charge moves opposite to the applied electric field, then these electrons will be set into motion like this. And when they start moving, they set up a phenomenon that we call electric current. Just like when water flows, there is a liquid current, a water current. When electrons move, we say there is electric current. Clear? So we come to the conclusion that motion of charged particles constitutes electric current. Now if the charges are moving fast, then we will say that large number of charges are moving perpendicular to this cross section like this through this wire, and hence rate of flow of charges is more, and this rate of flow of charge is called electric current. So we define electric current. Electric current is rate of flow of charge is called electric current. Rate of flow of electric current, rate of flow of charge is called electric current. So we can say current I is equal to charge Q divided by time T, and here we generate a formula I equals to Q by T. Children, actually Q by T, Q is the total charge and T the total time. So this current I which you are defining is actually average current. What current? Average current. So you can classify current into many ways, but here we will be discussing only two. First one is average current. Average current. Average current I is delta Q by delta T. Delta Q can also be written as Q2 minus Q1 divided by T2 minus T1. So what is Q1? Q1 is the charge passing through a cross section of a wire in perpendicular direction in time T1. Q2 is the amount of charge passing perpendicular to cross section of a wire in what time? T2. So Q2 minus Q1 divided by T2 minus T1, this will give us what current? Average current. However, if the current is changing all the time, then it makes sense to use another current which is called instantaneous current. Instantaneous current. And children, instantaneous current I will be limiting value of delta Q by delta T. When delta T tends to 0, we can also write this as dq dt. So two currents learned that we can calculate. The mathematical formulas are average current delta Q by delta T, which is Q2 minus Q1 divided by T2 minus T1, and then we have instantaneous current, which is limiting value of delta Q by delta T, and it can also be written as dq dt as a derivative. Okay. Now we will come to direction of current. Children, current flows always in a fixed direction. Let us see what is the actual direction and what is the conventional direction. Direction of current. Direction of electric current. Now, by now we understand it that for making this current flow in the circuit, we need to provide a constant or a variable potential difference across the conductor. One end must be at a higher potential, the other end must be at a what? Lower potential, and as long as this can be maintained, the current will continue to flow. Now what is direction of the current? Actually children, electric current is constituted by the flow of electrons, because electrons only can move, not protons and other bound particles. Okay. So if you look at this diagram, then electrons will move from negative to the positive terminal of the battery. So actually electrons moving like this, electrons moving like this from negative into the positive terminal of a battery. But we know that by convention heat flows from higher to the lower temperature. Wind flows from higher pressure to the lower pressure. Liquid flows from higher pressure to the lower pressure. So similarly, the conventional direction of current is taken from higher potential to the lower potential, meaning from positive to the negative terminal of the battery. So remember this, that conventional direction of current will be opposite to the flow of electrons and it will be taken from positive to negative. So direction of current by convention is taken from positive terminal to the negative terminal. This is how the current will flow, right? Now direction of current, when I am saying, then a question comes to your mind, is current a vector quantity? Because you have done in class 11 that a quantity which has magnitude as well as direction both is a vector quantity, and current has a magnitude and it also has a fixed direction. It is always going from positive to the negative terminal of the battery. So why not we consider current also as a vector quantity? Let us understand this. Imagine a situation in which I take two conductors. Through one conductor 6 ampere current is flowing and through another conductor 8 ampere current is flowing. An angle between these two wires is 90 degree. These two currents are fusing at point P and they are going through this wire. This is wire 1, this is wire 2 and this is wire 3. Now if I connect here an ammeter, and you know what is an ammeter in lower classes? Ammeter is a device which is used for measuring current. If I use an ammeter, actually it will be measuring 14 ampere. How many ampere it will measure? 14 amperes. And we will, if I see this, then algebraically 8 ampere plus 14 ampere is equal to 18 ampere. So we are finding that the net current in the circuit is actually the algebraic sum of these two currents. Whereas if I use vector formula, then I should be equal to root over 8 square plus 6 square, which will be 10 ampere, but the current is not 10 ampere. So we find here a very interesting thing, that current is having a magnitude also and also a direction, but it is not obeying the law of vector addition and subtraction. Therefore current will not be taken as a vector quantity. So get it here, you have done in class 11 also, that every quantity having magnitude and direction is not a vector. Only those quantities which have magnitude, direction and at the same time they obey the law of vector addition and subtraction are considered as a vector. So current is not a vector, current is a scalar. So current is a scalar. So this is important for you to know, that electric current, though it has magnitude also and direction also, it is a scalar. Now units of current you already have done in lower classes, but we will just go through once. Unit of current, symbol of current you know is I, children. Unit of current is ampere. What is unit of current? Ampere. What is ampere? Actually I is equal to Q by T. If I write Q is 1 coulomb and time is 1 second, then I will be 1 coulomb per second or 1 ampere. That means 1 ampere is 1 coulomb per second. So this gives us definition of 1 ampere. If 1 coulomb charge flows through a conductor in 1 second, then the current is how much? 1 ampere. If 1 coulomb charge flows through a conductor in 1 second, then current is 1 ampere. Now children, 1 ampere is basically a small current. Now when we deal with current in household applications, then the current is a few amperes. But in many cases, we deal with currents which are extremely small and very large also. For example, when we have a lightning discharge, electricity, discharge with mass, lightning. During lightning, the current is very large. It can be as large as 10,000 amperes, 10 kiloampere. And the current which is present in our nervous system, which is around 10 to the minus 6 ampere, which is about 1 microampere. So we can have smaller units, smaller units, 1 milliampere. For ampere I will be writing A, small ma, 10 to the minus 3 ampere, 1 microampere, mu A, 10 to the minus 6 ampere. Then we have nano and we have picoampere. Like 1 nanoampere is 10 to the minus 9 ampere, 1 picoampere is 10 to the minus 12 ampere. But we will not be dealing with nano and pico, we will be generally dealing with milli and micro, okay, which are smaller currents. Now, if I talk about bigger units, then we have kiloampere, 10 to the power 3 ampere. Then we have megaampere is not required. Even kiloampere current is also very rare current, okay. So, we understood what is the electric current, and we also understand that for making the flow of current a continuous process, we need to apply a potential difference. Once again, if I have a conductor, this is a magnified view of a conductor, and across this I am applying a potential difference. As long as this potential difference will be there, we will see there is a current in the circuit, and direction of current will be from what? Positive to the negative terminal. But the moment the battery is discharged, we are not able to provide any potential difference, then the current will stop, because these electrons require what? A potential difference. They need an energy to move through the circuit. Clear? So remember, even if you have a conductor, you will not have electric current unless you apply a potential difference. Okay. Now, calculation of charge. We understood two formulas for calculating current. I is equal to delta Q A delta T, which is average current, and I is equal to dQ dt, which is instantaneous current. There are two formulas from there we get. For average current, if current is average, children, then charge delta Q will be I into delta T, or you can also write Q is equal to I into T. If the current is average current, I is average current. And number 2, for instantaneous current, for instantaneous current, children, we have Q is equal to integration of I with respect to t, that is time, from time intervals t1 to t2. So depending upon what situation is given, we can use either of the formulas. You will get simple numericals based on this. Let us see here. Question: charge flowing through a conductor after time t second is given by Q is equal to 2t square plus 4t plus 1 into 10 power minus 3 minus 4 coulomb. Charge flowing through conductor after time t is 2t square 4 plus 4t plus 1 into 10 power minus 4 coulomb. Calculate Number 1, average current between t is equal to 1 to t is equal to 3 second, and number 2, instantaneous current at t is equal to 2 second. So we have been given these two questions, these two sub questions: average current between t is equal to 1 to t is equal to 3 second, and instantaneous current t is equal to 2 second. Okay, let's see here. Solution: given is children q is equal to 2t square plus 4t plus 1 into 10 power minus 4 coulomb. Now I need to calculate average current between t is equal to 1 to t is equal to 3 seconds, right? So put t is equal to 1 second, q1 will be 2 into 1 square plus 4 into 1 plus 1 into 10 power minus 4. So q1 will be children 2 plus 4 6 plus 1 7 into 10 power minus 4 coulomb. So when t1 is 1 second, I got q1 which is 7 into 10 power minus 4 coulomb. Now put t is equal to 3 second, then q2 will be, I'll put here t is equal to 3, 2 into 3 square, 4 into 3 plus 1 into 10 power minus 4. So 9 to the 18 plus 12 plus 1 into 10 power minus 4, it is 31 into 10 power minus 4 coulomb. So children, you got how much is q2 and you got how much is q1. So therefore average current is I is equal to q2 minus q1 divided by t2 minus t1. So how much is q2 children? 31 into 10 power minus 4. And how much is q1? 7 into 10 power minus 4 divided by 3 minus 1, right? So it is 24 into 10 to the power minus 4 divided by 2, 12 into 10 power minus 4, so it is 1.2 into 10 power minus 3 ampere. So this is the amount of current, average current, which is passing through the given circuit between 1 to 3 seconds. T is equal to 1 to 3 is equal to 3 seconds. Now the next thing I need to calculate is instantaneous current at t is equal to 2 seconds. So this is for instantaneous current, I will be using the other formula dq dt. So let's use it. Instantaneous current, children, second part of this question. Instantaneous current I is equal to how much, children? dq dt. So we differentiate 2 dt square dt plus 4 dt dt. Derivative 1 is 0 into 10 power minus 4. So we have 4t plus 4 into 10 to the power minus 4, and what is unit of current here? Ampere. And we will put t is equal to 2. Put t is equal to 2. So I will be 4 into 2 plus 4 into 10 power minus 4. So 12 into 10 power minus 4 ampere, which is 1.2 10 to minus 3 ampere. So instantaneous current here you are finding is same as the average current. Okay, same value we got, but not necessarily the value will be same. It depends upon the question. Okay, so you can easily do it. So we saw a sample problem where we can calculate the value of average current and also instantaneous current. Now Let's see, children will be seeing another problem in which we need to calculate charge when average current is given and instantaneous current is given. So let's say this. Question number 2, part 1. If 2 milliampere current flows through a conductor for 30 minutes, calculate charge flowing through the conductor, flowing through the conductor. Now from the question you can very well understand that this is a case of average current, right? Second part of this question number 2, if current is given by I is equal to T square plus 1 milliampere, calculate charge between T is equal to 0 to T is equal to 2 seconds. Let's see this problem, children. We will answer the first part, solution. First part, average current is given. Remember, I don't have to write average current every time, but we have started the chapter now and you are not familiar with this term, so we are using average current. But generally I will be writing current, I will not be using this term average, because most of the time we will be dealing with current in this chapter and beyond. We will be using only the average current concept. So average current I is given as 2 milliampere, convert into ampere, 2 into 10 power minus 3 ampere. Now time is given 30 minutes. Children, time should be taken always in seconds. So 30 into 60, 1800 seconds. So therefore I can directly use, therefore Q is equal to I into T. I we know 2 into 10 power minus 3 into 1800. We are converted into ampere. So charge will be in what? Coulomb. So we will have 36 into 10 power minus 1 coulomb. So this is 3.6 coulomb. So we calculated how much will be the charge. We can use directly this formula Q is equal to IT, because the current in this case is what current? Average current. Let's see second case. Instantaneous current I is equal to how much here? dq dt. So charge I is given as T square plus 1 milliampere. So therefore charge we need to integrate. Q is equal to integration of I with respect to T from T1 to T2, and you can see T1 is how much here? 0 and T2 is how much here? 2. So 0 to 2 seconds. We put in the value of I, T square plus 1 dt 0 to 2. Now remember it is milliampere. So charge will come in what? Milli coulomb, or I can multiply with 10 power minus 3 if I wish. If I integrate, it will be TQ by 3 plus T 0 to 2 millicoulomb. Put T is equal to 2. So 2Q by 3 plus 2, and you put 0, then you get 0 only. millicoulomb. So it will be 8 by 3 plus 2 millicoulomb. So 6 plus 2 is 14 by 3 millicoulomb charge. So this is the amount of charge which is going to flow through the conductor between t is equal to 0 to t is equal to 2 seconds. Okay. So it's very easy, you can handle this. So we understood what exactly is electric current, and what is the precondition to maintain this electric current. So electric current is rate of flow of charge, and the precondition for maintaining the flow of conductor, flow of current to the conductor is that we should be able to maintain a potential difference, and this potential difference will be provided by a battery or a cell. So if you don't have a battery or a cell, then you will not be able to have any current in the circuit. Okay. Now we discuss an important term, this is called drift velocity. Or Vd. Now generally we think that if we have a conductor like this, with large number of free electrons, and you apply a potential difference across this, then charges will be moving, electrons will be moving through this conductor smoothly. Actually children, the movement of electron is not a smooth motion. In fact, let us understand with a practical example. Imagine you build a road where there is no barrier and there is no friction. So if you roll a ball, it will continue to move from one end of the road to the other end of the road. That is called a smooth motion, because there is absolutely no obstruction. However, in practical examples, the motion is never smooth motion. As you move down the road, there are so many barriers. You slow down, again you pick up, you slow down, again pick up. Something like this happens to the electron also. If I don't apply this potential difference, then what happens? Let us briefly study that also. As I discussed with you in the beginning of this lecture, that in absence of electric field, if you don't apply an electric field, like here we have not applied, then these electrons have a random motion. They move in all possible directions, and in the process the net result of motion is what? 0. If I add up all the velocities that an electron can have possibly inside a conductor, then the average of these velocities will be how much? 0, because these velocities are all oriented randomly. If I don't apply any potential difference, electrons are thermally agitated, because the thermal energy, they move freely in long random directions and they cancel out each other's motion. However, like I said earlier in this chapter when we started in this video, that when you apply a potential difference, electrons start moving in a streamlined fashion, because they have a clear direction to move. They are accelerated to move from negative to positive turn on the battery, right? So now let us see how these electrons are moving. But remember, in absence of external electric field, average of the velocity will be how much? 0, because velocity in vector quantity, it cancels out as the electrons are oriented randomly, right? However, once you apply a potential difference in presence of external field, electrons move from the negative terminal of the battery to the positive terminal of the battery, or from lower potential to the higher potential difference when you apply potential difference across the battery, right. So, how they move? Imagine a situation. So, this is shown here in presence of an external electric field. Imagine I think of an electron here. Now, this electron, external field as you know is from positive to the negative terminal of the battery, right. So, this electron will move in the opposite direction to the electric field, because it will be experiencing a force due to the presence of the electric field. It will be accelerated and move in opposite direction. So, this electron starts moving from here. Now, when this electron moves forward, it collides with stationary positive ions. It collides. So, as this electron starts from here, let us name, starts from point A, collides at point B. Remember, as it starts from point A, it is getting accelerated. Now, it collides and for a moment it stops. Here its initial velocity is how much? 0. Continues to move and stops at point B. Remember, it travels a certain distance from A to B and also travels for a certain time length from A to B. Its velocity is increasing. Now, its velocity is maximum just before it collides. This is V max. Again starts moving with u0 and again it collides at point C and stops. This goes on till it is able to travel from one end of the conductor to the other end, right. So, we conclude that as the electron moves through a conductor, its velocity is never uniform and also it is never like what? A smooth motion. It undergoes a number of collisions and then it reaches the other end. So, motion of electron is not smooth, it is a drift, it is a series of collisions as the electron moves along the conductor, right. Now, imagine as it travels from A to B, then here it travels a greater distance and B to C, here it travels what? A smaller distance. So, obviously, velocity before it collides and stops at B will be more than velocity before it collides and stops at C, but it will not stop forever, it will stop and again will start what? Moving, because it is being constantly accelerated. So, children, the mean of all these velocities is called drift velocity. Is called what velocity? Drift velocity. So, here we will define that average velocity with which electron moves inside a conductor is called drift velocity. But drift velocity is not a continuous flow, is not a continuous motion, colliding, stopping, colliding, stopping, colliding, stopping. So, we will say average velocity with which electron moves inside a conductor is called drift velocity, and children, this velocity is denoted by Vd. Clear? There is another term that we use, period of relaxation. Period of relaxation will denote it by tau. Same tau which is used for denoting torque also. Let us understand it. Electron starts from A, collides and stops at B, again starts from B, collides and stops at point C. This goes on. Remember, the time which is passing between any two consecutive collisions is the time for which actually electron is traveling. Here it starts, here stops again, and the period for which electron stops is negligible. Is what? Negligible. For almost negligible period of time electron will stop here, and again it will start what? Moving. So we say time for which electron travels between any two consecutive collisions is called period of relaxation. Period of relaxation. Time for which electron is traveling between any two consecutive collisions is called period of relaxation. Clear? Now, so we understood in this discussion that electron will start with zero velocity, it will be accelerated, and its velocity will go on increasing. Here, just before collision, its velocity will be maximum. And children, remember that this maximum velocity actually is equal to drift velocity. Like electron will stop here, it will be accelerated, will move with greater acceleration, greater velocity, and here it will collide and stops. Just before it collides stops, its velocity is what? Maximum. And this velocity, maximum velocity will be equal to the what? Drift velocity. Electron goes from here, zero velocity, accelerated, velocity increases, here collides and stops. Just before colliding, its velocity is maximum and is equal to the drift velocity. Okay, so we will be doing one important derivation here, an important relation we will be deriving. We will see what is the relation between drift velocity and electric field. So, we will be seeing relation between drift velocity and electric field E. We will see this relation between drift velocity and electric field E. Let us see here. Once again, we go back to the same conductor which we had drawn earlier. This is positive and this is negative. I am applying potential difference. An electron is here at point A, starts moving, and at point B, this electron collides and stops. Here U is equal to 0, external electric field is E. Children, electron experiences electrostatic force and this force is opposite to the applied electric field. So, we will say electric force acting on electron, F will be equal to, you have done already, F is equal to Q into E, right. So, if I use this, F will be equal to minus E into E. Why I have used this minus sign? Because electron is moving opposite to the applied electric field. Now, when this force is acting on the electron will be accelerated. So, I will say acceleration of electron A is equal to how much here? F by m. You have done in laws of motion this equation, acceleration is equal to F by m. F is minus E into E by m. So, we got acceleration. And children, electron is actually accelerated from A and collides and stops at B. So, velocity just before it collides is actually equal to the what? Drift velocity. So, we will say using V is equal to U plus AT. Children, in this equation, if I use T is equal to tau, then V will be equal to how much? Vd, and we know U is equal to how much here? 0. If I put this equation out here, these constants, and V will be, Vd will be equal to 0 plus A we know is minus EE by m into tau. So we get an equation Vd is equal to minus E electric field E by m into tau. Now this expression is the relation between drift velocity and electric field. Now this negative sign tells us that electron is moving opposite to the direction by applied field. If the electric field is from right hand to left hand, electron moves from my left hand to my right hand. Now if I want only magnitude, then magnitude of drift velocity Vd will be equal to, this negative sign will disappear, E tau by m. So children, we got a relation between electric field and drift velocity. So practice this derivation, make sure you copy all the notes and understand the important concept we have discussed. Okay, thank you.